TG Geeks, episode 260, February 10th, 2020, Walking Off into the Sunset. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre. You name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from, where else would I be? Phoenix, Arizona.
Ah, you're in Phoenix as well?
Yeah, imagine that.
Imagine that.
I know.
All right, let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, this time we have author Zachry Wheeler back for another time. This time he's going to talk about the final installment of the Immortal Wake series that started with Transient. And this one is the Mortal Vestige. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation. We have our birthday shout-outs, our featured podcast of the week, and some feedback, some shout-outs. And in the second segment, we're going to talk about something that we watched on Netflix, a new series there. Then we do our weekly recap and our regular shout-outs. So let's get right to it. And this time we welcome back Mr. Zachry Wheeler. He is the author of many, many things. Max and the Multiverse, his fun stuff, and the series Immortal Wake series, which originally started out as
Transient series, I think.
Transient. And he has two other books, and we're going to talk about the third book. But welcome back to the show, Zachry.
Thank you very much, guys. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah. So we'll get into the stuff you've written. Tell us who you are for those that have not heard one of your interviews before, and tell us who you are, how you got into writing, and then we'll talk about just a touch on Max and the Multiverse, and then we'll talk about this series that you're winding up with, this third book.
Sure, happy to. So my name is Zachry Wheeler. I am a science fiction novelist. I originally did not start out as a writer. It was not something I had intended to do. It's just, I'd say about 15 years ago, I had an idea that I wanted to I just wanted to flesh out for my own amusement. And that ended up turning into my debut novel, Transient. Which was not intended to be part of a series at that point. It was just like I just wanted to publish it, see what happens. And much to my surprise, it absolutely took off. and that became the Immortal Wake series. But I'd actually written the entire Max and the Multiverse series between the first book of the Immortal Wake and the second book. Because the idea I had for the second book, I didn't really have the writing chops I wanted at that point because I wanted it to be more of a thriller feel. So I had postponed it for a while, and then I came back to the second book entitled Thursday Midnight, which led immediately into the third and final book, the Immortal Vestige, completing the trilogy, which is what we're talking about today.
And I would say that I'm glad you took the time because, and I freely admit this, I'm not a really huge fan of info dump. There's a lot of world building that obviously needs to take place in the first book. Mm-hmm. And admittedly, I had a very difficult time getting through that. But when I got to Thursday Midnight, I mean, that book, I felt like I just boarded a train that was just run away.
It was. It was a
funny enough. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was about to say. It was. All right, we're tripping over each other. Go ahead, Ben. I give you the floor.
No, I was going to say it was a very remarkably easy read, and yet you had me hooked almost from the very, very beginning. I could see the incredible evolution and growth that had happened within you as a writer. It was really impressive to see how far you had come between these first two books, and it's making me realize that I think you've become. I mean, Keith and I liken you to the heir apparent to Douglas Adams, but I think you're more than that.
With the Max and the Multiverse.
With the Max and Multiverse series, we definitely think you.
We can end the interview right here. It's like I can't really go anywhere higher than that. So that's the ultimate compliment. So thank you guys. It's been a really fun interview. So
I know, but in terms of what you're doing with your serious work, I would put you. And I mean this in all sincerity, I would put you up there with Asimov and Clarke, because this is some really, really solid stuff.
Hang on, we need to call his wife and have her wake him up.
I think you do. It's like that thunk you just heard. That was me passing out with elation. So,
but I don't. Wow. I don't say that lightly. I really don't. I mean, the material that you've written, it's so intelligent
and very heady. I mean, but easy to read.
It's not some sort of uber intellectual kind of thing that would alienate the reader, but it is very intelligent nonetheless. And the way you're able to balance all these different techniques in your writing between character and plot, all of those motivations really make your serious books, these especially book 2 and 3 of this transient series, to be just really some of the most compelling stuff I've ever read.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So you were going to say something about a runaway train.
Yes. So it's I'm very happy you highlighted the gulf between like the first book and second book, because I completely agree. So much so that once I finished the Mortal Vestige, I had actually had to go through the first book several times just to make sure that I had all my details right. I had all my dates right. Everything was lined up. All the callbacks were good. But what I realized at that time, as I was looking at it very analytically, I had not actually gone back and read the first book as just a generic reader from beginning to end since it was published.
Wow.
And so I decided, okay, that's a good thing to do. I just want to make sure that the tone is right, the pacing is right. And like you were talking about with the info dumps, when I first wrote Transient, it actually read pretty well as a medical paper about vampires.
Yeah, it's a journal.
But it was very dry. I mean, but at the same time, I didn't know how to write. I just that first draft was just I got all my information out on the page. And throughout the years of polishing and editing and rewriting, I got to the point where it's passable as a novel. Keyword passable. It was okay. Wasn't my best work. So what I decided to do after I published The Mortal Vestige and then went back and read Transient, is like, you know what? I'm reading through this whole book, mumbling things like, I don't need that word. I could drop that sentence. I don't need this information. I don't call back to this at all in the series. So I went through and gave it a fresh edit. And I removed 3,000 words from the book, and I just re-released it. So you might see like an update available under Transient, and that is a fresh edit, and it reads so much better now. And I will a great example I found was, remember how Agent Corvin is a major character in the second book.
Right.
Well, he was introduced at the end of the first book. And I didn't know much about him. I just needed like a government goon for Jonas, the protagonist, to interact with. I didn't know anything about his backstory. Well, that got completely fleshed out in Thursday Midnight. So when I came back to reread Transient, I actually knew his motivations. I knew his character arc. I knew his backstory. which told me that, well, he would never say it like this, or he would not do that mannerism. So I was able to actually seamlessly blend transient into the 3-book narrative. So now it is a cohesive piece.
Okay,
Wow.
so now I'm going to liken you also to George Lucas.
Yes. Now, I did not monkey with structure. Don't worry. I didn't add any singing aliens. So, everything is cool.
No CGI storylines here.
No CGI storylines. Everything is. It just got a fresh varnish. Didn't actually switch out the engine or anything like that.
Right.
But it was striking to me at the very end. It's just like, and most of it was just removal. It's just like, this I don't need, that I don't need,
Right.
this I don't call back. And it ended up just really galloping the pace of the book. Now, it being a first book, there's a lot of world building that needs to happen, and I do it through the journal entries and all that kind of stuff. So all of those are largely intact. But a lot of the action sequences, plus I removed a little bit of the more clunky Russian slang that kind of tripped up readers, and I got feedback over.
Yeah.
I've forgotten all about that.
If I had a one of my general rules of thumb was, if I had like one word that I don't use anywhere else, and it causes the reader to trip over, then I just removed it altogether. I also put a language reference to help readers in the front matter. So
cool.
It's it's like Transient 2.0. So.
Cool. So
Very nice.
Tell us what the Immortal Wake series is about, so that we can then move on to the second book and then the third book to talk about that. And just so everybody knows, when we start, we're going to talk about the first book and the second book, and when we start talking about the third book, we're going to give a big spoiler warning, because you can't talk about that book without spoiling it. So just so you know, you can listen up to that point and then
tune out.
Just
jump
tune
out. Jump to the end, or jump till we get to the Max and the Multiverse stuff.
So tell us what this series is about.
Sure thing. So the Immortal Wake series is a post-apocalyptic story where the remnants of humanity struggle to survive in a world controlled by immortals. And it is a science-heavy reimagination of the vampire legend.
Right. And those are the Immortals.
The Eternals.
Those are
The
the
Eternals.
Yes, the Eternals. Now named Eternals because, fun fact, in the first book, I always like to give this little tidbit. I only use the term vampire twice in the story, and it's derogatory in nature. So it is a rethinking of the entire lore behind the vampire legend, and it follows a young man named I was about to say a young man named Transient.
There you go. And he's the Jonas of this.
He's the Jonas of this. Yeah, follows a young man named Jonas who is a human spy in the immortal world, and the overarching goal is to uncover a means in which to regain control of the planet. So humanity is being pushed to the brink of extinction, and the immortals have assumed control of the planet, and that is the plot driver for the entire series.
Yeah, and it's kind of when you read Transient and you get to the end, or it really is kind of sad to see their what they have built and what they have become, and why would you want to be an immortal? Why would you want to live forever? And you can see that decay and their what's the word I'm looking for? It just
facade.
Yeah, a facade of happiness, and they're just going about their business. It's like, oh my, I can't imagine doing what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
Well, no,
that was one of the big
because
overarching foundations of the series is there. I really wanted it to come across as morally and ethically vague. It's like one thing I like to, or one of the ways I like to describe this is like Jonas is a single degree away from being the antagonist.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
It's like it's very gray area, and I was really happy that it came across with the initial readings when it first published. It's just like I didn't know what camp I was in. There was no like established good guys, bad guys kind of thing. It's just like sometimes I felt for them, sometimes I felt for the other, sometimes I didn't know who to feel with, and that's what I really wanted to come across.
I kind of touch on that in the review for the third book, and it's Jonas is a deeply flawed man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very flawed. So you spent all this time in between the first book and the second book, and as you said a few moments ago, you just did this first book thinking that was going to be it. What all of a sudden made you say, I think I've got more story to tell here?
That is an interesting question.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can unpack
5?
it in a meaningful fashion.
Yeah, I mean, how many Max and Multiverse books did you write before you decided to do Thursday
all
Midnight?
3 of them.
Yeah,
I did the entire trilogy before I did Thursday Midnight.
Wow.
One of the reasons, I know a good way to think about this. So whenever I was writing Max, a lot of the readership that from Transient came back and say, are you going to continue it? It's like, well, I have some ideas, but I'm kind of spinning a narrative. And so many times I have read trilogies especially that have this very predictable arc. And it all stems from I think the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where there's this expectation of build up, adventure, and then satisfying conclusion.
Right.
That after you get through the second book, a lot of times you can kind of see where the tale is going, and that's what I had actually set out to do once I started thinking about the second book for after Transient, or the sequel, because I thought that's just what you do. And I realized that I was kind of mapping this out. It's like, this is just not satisfying at all. It's like, I don't even want to write this because I know where it's going. The readers would know where it's going. So I just kind of shelved it. And I went through the Max and the Multiverse series, which was very, pantsing kind of writing and a lot of fun to do because it's a sci-fi comedy where anything goes, and it was just a lot of fun.
And the short stories.
And and it got me to thinking, it's like, could I, in a way, do that with the Immortal Wake series? Have it come across as very unpredictable, very out of right field, without being, shocking for shock value, which is another crutch I don't like. So I got this idea of, I can actually, that's where I started thinking, that character at the end of Transient, Agent Corbin, I wonder if I could actually write this fallout through his perspective. Well, not fallout, but like the consequence of Jonas's decision at the end. It's like, how would that directly affect him? And that's how the story started rolling. And then it turned into what it was. And then the third book was actually a separate idea I had for a standalone story a while ago, and it didn't occur to me until I reached the end of Thursday Midnight just how perfectly it fit in as a conclusion. So it kind of married in a very organic way, and it ended up completing the series in a very satisfying way, at least from an author perspective.
Right. Well, technically, you could have ended the series at the end of book 2.
Yes.
I mean, it
would have made for one heck of a shocking ending.
Oh, it certainly.
It would have worked.
Yeah, but you make it so much more satisfying with the third book. I mean, it.
That's a very common piece of feedback I get from Thursday Midnight. It's just like, where the hell do you go from there?
Right. But
it really is like an absolute brick wall kind of ending that just kind of leaves you like just completely bamboozled. And I mean, now that was intentional. I mean, I really wanted it to be that way, but yeah, I could have absolutely just brushed my hands and walked away.
Right.
But the nice thing, what I liked about it, and I think Keith sort of feels the same way. What's really nice about what you did with Mortal Vestige is that you take Jonas, and now he has to bear witness to everything that has happened, and as he goes through life, it puts him in a position where he now has to literally revisit everything that has happened, everything that he has seen, everything that he has done, and it forces him to totally reevaluate his whole life. So where with
not only his life, but everything.
Well, everything.
I mean, he finds the flaws and examines the flaws of everything and everybody, and including himself.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, I mean, first he re-examines the flaws of everybody else, which then makes him. Then he kind of gets very introspective and says, okay, maybe this was a lot of hubris on my part. So it's fascinating to see, and that was one of the neat things that I liked about what you did with Mortal Vestige is that as much as Thursday Midnight was just a really exciting plot-driven kind of story, this one is very psychological. Mortal Vestige is a very introspective book with a nice bit of action and motion that is taking place as the story drives along. But it's really about being inside Jonas's head now.
Very much so, and which was a very. I was actually kind of frightened to write this initially because this is a first-person narrative. This is a personal descent into madness, and it is so easy to do that wrong. It's so easy to just have it be a string of consciousness kind of narrative that, almost like an Apocalypse Now kind of thing.
Right.
And it's like it's a very sharp edge to walk. So I was really trying to pay attention to that through the writing process, because I did not want this to delve into kind of a cliched woe is me kind of narrative.
Right. Well, he lives a fairly reasonable existence, and then decides that he's going to do all these things, and then it just ends. So I'm going to leave that there. But
it definitely reaches a conclusion.
There's no question.
It wraps it up. So.
It falls right off the cliff, doesn't it?
Unless all of a sudden you want to write a fourth book where aliens come to the planet.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Actually, my editor brought up a fun idea, because one thing about the Mortal Vestige, especially my betas, because this sparked some interesting conversations with my betas, and one thing I want to point out for potential readers is, like, this is all from Jonas's perspective. I mean, it's the majority of the tale is written in the first person. There are things that may be true and may not be true, but you don't know about them because you're living through it through Jonas's eyes.
Right.
So it's just like, wouldn't there be? Is there potential for another survival colony to have been? He just hasn't found them or something like that. I was like, yes, absolutely. There are a lot of intentionally unanswered questions because it is specifically through the eyes of Jonas.
Right. But it's a very satisfying ending, and as you had pointed out before we were talking, there's something to the ending, and you kind of notice that, but we'll leave that alone.
We'll leave it at that.
All right.
So what's next for Mr. Wheeler here? Another Max in the Multiverse, or something completely different?
Something to kind of clean your palate after that?
Oh yes, this book, oddly enough, this is my shortest book. It clocked in at just over 40K, but given the nature of the book, I couldn't really take it further than that without just being an absolute slog. So it needed to be pretty short. But even so, it ended up being the most mentally taxing book of my career to date.
Right.
For obvious reasons, since you read the material. So once I reached the end, and once I got through all the editing, once I wrapped it up and pushed the publish button, it was just like, okay, I need a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
So
I noticed that you did do a short story.
Yes. I released that one. Did I do that before? I think I did that somewhere right before I was hitting the Mortal Vestige really hard, because I had written like the first several chapters, and it was a pretty heavy exercise, and I had this idea for a short. and I wanted to kind of get that out. And the Max shorts are all standalones. They're a lot of fun. They kind of like poke fun at other genres.
Oh my!
So now that I got like the Immortal Wake series is complete. I've got a trilogy of Max books which are open ended. Plus, they're a lot easier to promote once I actually have trilogies established, because a lot of readers, if you only have like 1 or 2 books in a series, they want to wait till the series is complete, kind of thing. So now I actually have freedom that I haven't had in a long time. So what I've decided to do, most of my focus is on a spin-off series from Max and the Multiverse that takes place on the Durangoni space station from Max and the Snoodlecock. So
okay.
I'm working on that, and it's a lot of fun.
I thought you were going to do a spinoff on Phil.
that has been requested so many times. He's going to get his own short at the very least. So that's been in my head for a while.
Touchies!
Touchies!
Oh my god!
That could be demented.
Oh my god! Yes.
He is absolutely a favorite character, and he's so much fun to write. So.
Yeah. So
poor Max. Phil doesn't want to hug him.
This has been really great. So tell us where you can be found on social media, where your books can be found, all of that kind of neat stuff that you need to share with us.
Sure thing.
Or share with
so
our
the
reader,
main area to find me is at my main author website, which is ZachryWheeler.com. That's with the weird spelling. That's ZachryWheeler.com. And I'm also on the main social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Zachry Wheeler. And then as far as books, you can find them on Amazon, and there are links on my website.
Cool.
And I would say that since this episode is coming out Monday, what day?
10th.
The 10th?
Yep.
The review for this book, Mortal Vestige, will be coming out on Tuesday the 11th.
And the book is released on Friday the 14th.
The paperback.
The Kindle version.
The Kindle version
that's
is
right,
released on the 14th, and the paperback is available now for anyone who prefers the feel of a handheld book.
Yes. And just for everybody that is listening, the Max shorts, you need to know nothing about the books to be able to read those. They're a lot of fun to read, and they're just standalones. You don't need to know anything about Max.
Thank you. And I'm happy you said that. Yes, they are separate entry points into the series. And I believe sometime in March, I'm going to be releasing a box set of all Max material. So
cool.
The three books and 3 shorts all together will be available for Kindle.
Cool.
So
Nice.
keep an eye out for that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us again, Matt.
Always
Max.
a pleasure,
Max?
guys. It's
Max?
so much fun to talk to you.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
This is Zachry Wheeler, science fiction novelist, author of Transient and the Max and the Multiverse series, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
That was really, really good.
It was a fantastic conversation, and just as a reminder, my review, if you're listening to this episode on Monday, the day that it comes out, you will be able to see my review for Mortal Vestige tomorrow on Tuesday. If you're listening to this on Krypton Radio, then just go to tggeeks.com and find my review for Mortal Vestige there.
Yep. And here's a few selected birthdays for February 10th, 2020 through February 16th, 2020. February 10th, Laura Dern. Actor, Jurassic Park.
Bruce Stern's
Star
daughter.
Wars, Bruce Stern's daughter, exactly. And Jimmy Durante. That's what I have written down here. A singer, actor. He was a comedian, had his own show for a while. We talked about that, I think it was last week, because Carmen Miranda was on his show, last appearance.
He had a nose bigger than life. I mean, a presence bigger than life.
Yep. And Roberta Flack, singer. She was the only solo artist to win the Grammy Record of the Year 2 years in a row.
One of them, I think, would be For Killing Me Softly.
Well,
I'm guessing.
The first one in 1973 was First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. And then Killing Me Softly with his song in 1974. Just two incredible songs.
Yes, they are.
And then we have Stella Adler. She's an actor and acting teacher. She had two studios, one in New York City and the other in L.A. and Los Angeles. Some of the New York City alumni are Marlon Brando, Robert De Niro, and Kate Mulgrew.
Okay, I can never see. No, I'm sorry. From now on, it's Roberta Nero.
Yeah. Oh dear. Hope he doesn't hear this.
Are you laughing at me?
He might like it, actually.
You're laughing at... Actually, he's got a marvelous sense of humor. So I think he will appreciate the gaffe and with a good attitude.
Freudian slip was showing there. In the LA studio, several alumni are Mark Ruffalo, Salma Hayek, and Sean Astin. And then we also have Edith Clark.
She's Arthur C. Clarke's sister.
Well, you never know. She was the first woman to be employed professionally as an electrical engineer.
Hey, maybe.
And she was the first woman to earn a master's in electrical engineering from MIT in 1918.
Whoa.
And she also created a calculator to solve line equations involving hyperbolic functions when she worked at GE in 1921. She got a patent on that.
She would have something of a trailblazer then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Then we have Jerry Goldsmith.
My God, what can be said about... the
composer.
Man was...
Wow.
Composer is putting it lightly. The man was a visionary.
Yep.
It's no wonder that Oscar was terrified of him, because this man thought so outside the box. With the scores that he created, he won his only Oscar was for The Fury, not Fury, but The Omen.
But my lord!
But if you like, you take a look at the scores that he wrote for Star Trek: The Motion Picture and Star Trek: First Contact.
Oh my gosh, First Contact is just,
which is my favorite.
Oh my!
And of course the theme that he wrote for Star Trek Voyager. But then go back in time and listen to the score that he wrote for Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes.
Which is really alien.
His score for Patton was
that's fantastic.
The First Contact, it just brings tears to my eyes.
I'd say that's his finest score.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you're ever in California and you do Disney's California Adventure, should they be playing the classic Soaring Over California theme attraction? Wow, what a score.
Now
that's a score that just sends chills up and down my spine.
Yep.
The man was amazing.
And then we have Lon Chaney Jr. He's after playing the Wolfman in the 40s and other horror and stuck in the shadow of his famous father. He had quite the career in the Westerns in the 60s and 70s.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. It was fascinating to look at that.
I'm glad he was able to carve out a good career, because a lot of people, they couldn't help but make that comparison between him and his dad.
Yeah.
And that's not a fair comparison. They're two separate people. Yes, he was carrying on the family industry. And I thought he did a decent job in those classic Universal horror films.
Exactly.
I thought he did a really good job. So he wasn't a trailblazer like Daddy was.
Yep.
So what?
But he was good.
I thought he was.
And then we have Leontine Price.
Oh, now.
Opera singer extraordinaire.
What a talent.
Oh, my gosh. She was just, it's Bob.
Oh, it's Bob. You have to see this documentary.
Oh,
it's
my
on
gosh.
It's on the building of the new Met Opera
Oh, my gosh. She's
facility.
just delightful.
And they
just
interview
delightful.
her. And she is so wonderful in that. She even sings a little bit, too.
Yeah. Douglas Slocum, cinematographer. He was a cinematographer for Jesus Christ Superstar, Rollerball, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Never Say Never Again.
Wow.
The Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. February 11th, Jennifer Aniston, actor, Friends, and she's actually making a comeback now with that.
She's got a good series on the Apple TV Plus,
Yep.
which is getting really good critical review. I mean, she's never really went away.
No,
but she's. I know that she did a lot of work
just kinda,
behind the scenes.
yeah.
She was doing a lot of. She was working with production companies. So she never went away. She just changed what she was doing by choice.
And then we have Thomas Alva Edison, inventor. What else do you say?
Not much else, but there's a really great movie about him.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what was the name of that film?
Current War.
Yeah, Oh my God, with Benedict Cumberbatch.
And also it was about Nikola Tesla and Edison.
And
really
Westinghouse.
Good film.
It was a marvelous movie. We have a review for that on tggeeks.com. Maybe I'll put a link for that again.
Yep. And then Burt Reynolds, actor.
Stuntman.
Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah.
Stuntman. I mean, he was one of the first actual stunt actors, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. But yeah, he was doing his own stunts when he was younger.
Yep. Leslie Nielsen, actor.
Nut job.
Phoenician.
Yeah, a Phoenician. Total nut job.
Yep. And Tina Louise.
Wait.
Gilligan's Island. I forgot to put her on that.
I didn't put her on.
list.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So she did a lot of other things, but most remembered for Gilligan's Island. Mm-hmm. And then Leo Szilard, he was a physicist. He conceived the nuclear chain reaction in 1933.
Oh, that gave way to the A-bomb.
Yep, and patented the idea for a nuclear fission reactor. He worked with Einstein, Fermi, all of the Manhattan Project people. He escaped from Germany as the Nazis came to power in 33, 34, something like that. Or started to come to power. He said, "Nah, we're gonna be
I don't
out
like
here."
what I'm seeing here.
Yep.
Ciao, baby.
And Henry Fox Talbot was an inventor and early photographer, developed several processes for developing photographs, and was a proponent of using photography as an art form.
We've got a lot of very technically gifted people this month, don't we?
Yes.
Amazing.
And Ava Gabor, she was technically gifted. Aristocats and Green Acres.
Okay.
Yeah.
I when you say technically gifted, I have to kind of wonder where you're going with that.
Well, when she learned to drive, she called it the prenundle.
The what?
The little thing that it says on the steering column is PRNDL.
Oh, she did not.
She did.
She
called
did?
it the prenundle.
Oh my goodness.
I remember that episode clearly.
Oh, so you're talking Green Acres. I see.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I was thinking, no, Ava did not do that in real life. She had a chauffeur.
No. On Green Acres, yes. And then we have Facebook friend Raleigh Renault. February 12th, Abraham Lincoln, president.
My favorite.
Peacemaker, shall we say?
My favorite
attempted
president.
peacemaker.
I mean, no president is perfect, but boy, and he made his share of mistakes. They all do. But that man, he had the worst job.
Yep.
I mean, how do you put together a fractured country the way that he had to?
Exactly. And then we have Josh Brolin, actor, from The Goonies to Thanos.
Yeah. Oh,
Amazing.
That should be a book.
Exactly. Charles Darwin,
Another scientist. My
naturalist, most known for his Origin of the Species and his theory of evolution through natural selection. Interestingly enough, it was his time on the HMS Beagle where he started to develop those, but he was studying geology when he was on the HMS Beagle.
Weren't they going to isn't that when they went to the Galapagos?
Yep, exactly. So that was his big claim to fame at that time was he was studying geology. They made a trip around the world and on HMS Beagle. And
wow, nice.
And that's when he started. It was the Galapagos and the islands surrounding that he noticed several different types of birds and how they differed from island to island. Mm-hmm. That he started to do his Origin of Species and theories. Then we have Lauren Green, Pa, and Adama.
Well, yeah, I guess he was called Pa in the Bonanza.
Yep, he was.
Okay.
And Anna Pavlova, she was a ballerina for the Imperial Ballet and the Ballet Russe of Sergei Diaghilev, and she was the first ballerina to tour the world.
There's something that there's a one dance that she was really famous for.
Oh, the Dying Swan.
Yes, that's it.
Yes. And then we have Forrest Tucker, actor.
F Troop,
MAME.
Yes.
And we have Franco Zeffirelli, opera and movie designer.
Oh man, that man was a talent.
Yep.
His opera productions were just superb, as well as what he did for TV and movie.
Oh yeah, some of the finest and lavish productions of opera and TV and movies and opera productions. He died last year. He was 96.
I know. And I would hope that even though he's gone, there are some of his productions that are
still surviving. Yeah,
they cannot go away.
Yep.
You know, I know that the Metropolitan Opera, they like to get in new production ideas every so many decades, I suppose, but do not get rid of the productions for Bohème or Turandot, because they are both just the most lavish things I've ever seen.
Yep. And then Arsenio Hall, talk show host, much derided at the time when he first came on the scene with his talk show. But the interesting thing was, everybody just poo-pooed Arsenio Hall, but everybody knew who he was.
I liked his show. I watched it regularly.
Well, and then it became a hit in the second incarnation. The first one didn't make it. The second incarnation did.
I watched both. That's very odd. I remember when it did that break, I didn't understand why. I mean, there was no social media or easy dissemination of news in order to learn what's going on in the entertainment industry like today.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was some sort of a ratings problem or a critique problem.
Yep. And Michael Ironside, actor, usually plays the heavy.
He lives in Vancouver, and I've heard interviews with the guy. He is so nice.
Yep. He has 8 movies in post-production right now.
Does he?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Interesting. And then Steve Hackett.
One of my idols. This man, and I gotta say, he is going on tour again.
Wow.
And he is going to be he's actually doing something that I really love. He's been revisiting a lot of old Genesis material. And he's actually going on the road, and I think he's calling it the Seconds Out Tour. And the Seconds Out was the second live LP that Genesis ever did, and it was the last one that he did with them. And I'm under the impression that they're going to recreate the entire live concert.
Wow.
And if they come to Phoenix, I don't care what venue it is, we're going, because I've got to see that.
Yep. And then we have Roberto Marcellini, who is a guitarist, Roberto Andaria.
Oh, I love that guy. Wow. I mean, he blew me away when we saw him on the Disney Fantasy.
Yep.
It was our last night, and he did this vamp because Daria's microphone gave out. So he vamped on doing acoustic versions of Pink Floyd songs all by himself using digital echo. And it was beyond... I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was amazing. And I just saw a video of him last night or night before performing some Pink Floyd music.
Wow.
And the guy sounds just like Gilmour. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's a really great guitarist. I mean, we were lucky to see him when we first got on the ship.
I know.
I mean, in that little bar.
It was that first night. We were all getting ready for dinner. We had all gathered together in that bar, and there they were performing. But then we were, I want to say we were in Nassau. We went back to the ship early, and they were playing on the deck.
Yeah. I thought,
and it was just us.
And I thought we saw them twice. I thought didn't we see
we
them
we saw we kept making a point of seeing them every time we could.
No, but I mean on a second cruise.
No, that was the only cruise we saw them on.
Anyway. Oh well.
I wish we did.
Yeah. February 13th. Peter Gabriel.
Another former Genesis guy.
Yep. Henry Rollins.
Oh, if he ever comes back doing his spoken word, we have to see him because he is amazing.
Singer, activist. Chuck Yeager. Test pilot, designer. Oh my gosh. Neil McDonough, actor. He plays both DC and Marvel characters.
Yeah, who's he playing in? I've gone blank on Marvel.
He was Dum Dum Dugan.
Oh, that's right. Of course. How could I forget that? That's right. Yeah, for Cap America.
Yeah, and he has 7 films in post production right now. Interesting. Carol Lindley, actor. She was in Poseidon Adventure. Oh my gosh, and she was a staple on TV. My God,
the name is familiar. But
she did Night Gallery, The Night Stalker, Man from Uncle,
so she was
Quincy,
a working
Kojak.
actress.
Oh my gosh, she was in virtually everything.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, and Peter Tork.
He recently left us, didn't he?
The Monkees, yes.
Yeah, because all we have left now are Mickey and Mike.
Yep.
They're the only ones left now.
And Kim Novak from Vertigo.
And I want to say, I think she was in Planet of the Apes.
I can't remember. I didn't look that far.
I could be way wrong on that one. I probably am.
And then Facebook friend Joe Phillips.
Happy birthday.
February 14th, Freddie Highmore, actor. He was in Bates Motel, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Finding Neverland.
Yes, and he's
cute.
He's adorable, and he's in a TV series. At least he was last year. I don't know if the series is still on. He plays some sort of like an autistic doctor.
Right.
Great talent.
And then Simon Pegg.
Oh, I love that guy. He's nuts.
Yep. Gregory Hines, dancer, one of the most celebrated tap dancers.
Oh, he's amazing.
Ever.
I would recommend.
And died way too soon.
Way too soon. There was a marvelous movie that he did with Mikhail Baryshnikov. Oh my God, I can't
remember what it was.
But it's set in Russia, and it's such a fabulous dance movie.
Yep. And then we have Florence Henderson, Mom. Yeah. Mom to several people. And Enrico Colantoni, actor from, we remember him from Galaxy Quest.
I think a lot of people would remember him from. Oh my God, he was the dad in that teen detective. Veronica,
Veronica Mars.
Veronica Mars, yeah.
Yep. And then we have Raymond Joseph Teller.
Or just Teller.
He actually changed his name legally to just Teller.
That works.
He's a magician.
Although
Gillette.
I found out that I was under the impression that he designed all the illusions and magic tricks that Penn and Teller did. Turns out he didn't. Although he is an accomplished magician in his own right.
Yep. And then we have Facebook friends Vilan Trube, Billy Bruley, who's an opera singer, and Vasilis Milissus, who's a film score composer. February 15th, Galileo Galilei, astronomer, physicist, engineer.
Changed the way we saw the cosmos.
Known as the father of observational astronomy, father of modern physics, father of the scientific method, father of modern science, and heretic.
Yeah. That's right.
At least according to the church.
Well, he was
until a couple of years ago.
Yeah, father of heresy. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but he did have a trial. There was a trial not that long ago, and he got acquitted.
Yep. And Harvey Korman, funny man.
Yeah, but the best thing is when he's made to laugh. Thank you, Tim Conway.
Exactly. And Matt Groening, who was co-writer, creator, Simpsons. Mm-hmm. And Susan B. Anthony, a suffragette. She was a Quaker. And she was the 19th Amendment was ratified 14 years after her death.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she was instrumental in getting that. She and another lady were instrumental in getting that bill to one of the senators who brought it up for the 19th Amendment.
Oh, how about that?
So it took a while. And then we have Cesar Romero.
The Joker.
Which
I think that's what everybody remembers him for. Although we did see him in a couple of Disney movies.
Yeah.
With Kurt Russell.
Exactly. He played a Joker-like character.
In a way, yeah. Not quite as campy, but yeah.
Yeah. And Lillian Bounds Disney. Mrs. Walt.
Mrs. Walt, yes.
Yeah. And Leland Melvin, he's an astronaut. One of his photos of his photo shoots in his astronaut suit was with his dogs.
Oh, how
I put
cute.
him on here because
it was
just
oh, those photos are
priceless.
wonderful.
Yeah. February 16th, Sonny Bono, Mr. Cher.
Yeah.
Christopher Eccleston, actor, Doctor Who.
The man who is he's in therapy now, I think.
Yeah. And LeVar Burton, Geordie LaForge, Mr. Reading Rainbow, and Kunta Kinte.
Oh, yes, that's where he got his big break.
Yep. And that was actually like his second thing that he ever did.
Was it really?
Yeah. And Edgar Bergen, ventriloquist. And then we have Facebook friends Byron A. Martin, happy birthday, Byron. Angela Lang Messick, or in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then we have Jim Lamb, a former classmate of mine, and Giorgio Benedetto. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama.
Rama.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Gosh, it wouldn't work.
I thought for a second there I was hearing rap.
Yeah.
We have got to fly through this because we are so running low on time. This is our feedback section. So, starting with episode 255, there's a comment from Patricia Chica, and this is in regards to our interview with Nino Aldi and Jake Hunter of the short film Tribes. She says, "I love how Ben Raggington and Keith Lane do their interviews. I always learn something about people I thought I knew well. Incredible interviews. Hashtag TG Geeks for Life." We need to really populate that hashtag.
Yeah.
And then we got a comment from Hamish Downey. He says, "Thank you for my birthday shout out. I've been on holiday and taking a break from social media. Hope this finds you all well." Well, yes, it did. And then lastly, we got a comment regarding Slam Dance Features digital series screenings of Take One Thing Off. And we got a comment from Casey Bocciamini and says, "Thank you for your support." And that is our feedback for this time.
If you want to leave a comment, you can do that on our Facebook page or on any of the articles and episodes found at tggeeks.com. You can also comment on Twitter and Instagram and any other place that there is a comment section. You can also leave us a voicemail at our listener line at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And always remember, please play nice. We're huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers. Please, if you see them, buy their stuff, chat them up to other people, and please consider supporting independent creators. Joshua Tree Feeding Program, 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They set it up like a store so that the clients can choose the food that they want so nothing is wasted. An all-volunteer organization, so please consider supporting Joshua Tree either through a single gift or a monthly recurring gift. Go to jtfp.org. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
We got a little bit of time. We can talk about something that we just finished watching on Netflix.
Now, this has been out for a little while.
Well, it's been out for a week.
Yeah.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
October Faction?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, because it came out on your birthday.
Yep, October 23rd.
Yes,
or January 23rd.
January 23rd. October 23rd?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks ago. Sure. Yeah, we're really playing with getting timey-wimey.
Little timey-wimey.
Little timey-wimey. And I had done a 3-episode review that we ran earlier or last week.
And then we binged the rest of it.
Yeah, we mainlined the rest of that baby on, Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainlined the rest of it. And holy cow. Wow. I would say this thing went places I didn't expect it to go.
It was really very interesting.
It starts off very slow. Deliberately, though, because there's a lot of pieces that need to put into place. But when you get towards the end of it, it just starts really taking off, and then you have to start wondering who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. You know,
exactly.
There's really no black and white here. Lots of shades of gray. I mean, what were some of the thoughts you had on it?
Oh my gosh, I liked the way that they wove the story together, and they kind of kept you on the edge of your seat, not knowing who is doing what and why and how. Mm-hmm. And then also the one big thing was they have a gay character that is it's just, he's so out and open that it's a non-issue. And he helps others to be able to come out and accept themselves, and
yeah, that was a really great.
It was a great touch,
a great way they were able to do that. Make him the non-issue character, but also use him to be the deliverer of the message of it gets better, self-acceptance, all of that.
Exactly.
I thought it was really well done. I was very happy with the show. I know that it got renewed for a second season. Yep. I'm very excited to see. I don't know when it's going to come back,
right,
but I eagerly look forward to seeing where it will go, because they left it on one doozy of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and there's actually 4 graphic novels. So
if each novel if each novel is a series, which I think it is, a whole season, then maybe we're looking at 4 years.
Yep, and then. We did our 3. You're going to have your 3-episode thoughts of Picard.
Yeah, I've got that coming up sometime coming this week, as well as Lock and Key.
Yeah. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. We just started watching that yesterday.
Yeah. My God. Yeah, we got the first 2 episodes done, and oh my God. I know, Claire, if you're listening to this, yes, you did say you weren't too keen on it, but I will say, because I've not read it, I am actually enjoying this series a great deal, and I will address the whole teenage angst thing in my review that you and I were talking about.
Exactly. And now we're due the weekly review.
Yes, and these articles that I'm about to mention, the links for these will be going into the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com, starting with Sunday, February 2nd, Dr. Zombie Monster Family Physician number 86. On Monday, the 3rd, TG Geeks episode 259. On Tuesday, the 4th, Topps new licensed Mars Attacks card set from Sidekick Lab funds on Kickstarter. Check that one out. That one's very interesting. On Wednesday, the 5th, Missing Link, the animated movie. Go behind the scenes of Leica's stop motion animation. That's actually a very interesting little press release we got there.
3 little
videos in there.
Featurettes.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Check it out. Thursday the 6th, Ben's 3-episode thoughts. The family that hunts together stays together in October faction. On Friday the 7th, New Sushi number 97. He's closing in on 100 people. Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond. That's by Hamish Downey. And then on Saturday, February 8th, this one is near and dear to my heart. Broke Horror Fan presents Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich, and Patchwork on VHS.
VHS
horror. Yes.
Oh my gosh, where horror really
that's
independent horror.
That's where
really
it
made its name. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
And you can find all these things at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page. And now,
have some shout-outs we need to make. First, to the Human Arkle for putting out the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News, which republishes our content from time to time. You can find the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter, and you do that by searching Arkle at ARKLE. And speaking of Arkle, he is right now undergoing Shameless Cash Grab Season 4. It has already started. He's already had Episode 1, Operation Endgame, and you can find that by going to youtube.com/Arkle Studios. That's all one word. And we need to give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours. Big thanks to the moderators for literally saying share away. And their URL is facebook.com/gaygeeksafterhours.
/groups.
Facebook.com/groups/gaygeeksafterhours.
There we go.
And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our stuff on their page. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek. And special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we're found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Oh, notice I had to hold on to my headphones, kind of like, what's his name on Laugh-In?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Him.
So I could do my podcast voice. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio, 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content. They are a geeky 24-hour internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's all, folks. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast.
You threw me there.
Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page of things we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. And always, please be kind.
Cheers.
Yep.